Welcome to Social Work TV, brought to you by yours truly, Rodney, all under the banner of Smart As, Simple Learning, Incredible Power. We really wanted to come together today. I just couldn't finish my day without having a conversation with yourself and social workers and counselors out there, just on everything happening. I just wanted to recognize the traditional owners that I'm operating on in the Ngunnawal country in the Canberra region, and big shout out to those both past, present, and future and emerging elders. I've got a couple of good friends of mine that identify as elders in the community and local leaders, and I'm just so blessed. As you can see, someone who's passed along sadly champions me all the time. But look, I just wanted to get started and just having to think about, all the news and everything that's happening in and around us. I just really wanted to point out those helpers out there that I'm connected with, that are connecting with me on my social media channels. I just wanted to reach out and say we're with you in solidarity. And with this COVID-19 thing just in our face, post-bushfire, post-smoke, choking in the Canberra region, I just wanted to really put some things out there just to say to you all, we care about you all. And most importantly, I've just been looking at the Australian Council for International Development, and I just wanted to share some bits and bobs with you all that I've been kind of learning about, and just kind of really show the way, not only on what you're doing in our practice, but it really got me thinking about internationally, how are we as helpers and social workers and people connected to each other, how are we going to bring this stuff together? And it really made me think about having practiced in the US and coming to practice in Australia. It made me realize, well, how am I gathering feedback from my colleagues overseas, and what are we doing with it as helpers, frontline community service workers, social workers, counselors, therapists, those helpers that are in that community right now. How are we gathering feedback of what we're doing the best? And something that I really wanted to just kind of share with you guys today, and gals and theys and thems, and the good people out there in the Canberra community and wider, was the Australian Council for International Development's little toolkit they have. That's really a fancy little tool, and really just got me inspired. And I just couldn't put my head on the pillow yet without kind of sharing this stuff with you. So I just wanted to share. Let's see here. It's a really cool tool. Let's see here, move to the top. It's a really cool tool called the Innovation Pulse Check. Now, if we ever needed to take our pulse and breathe a little bit with the things that are happening in our community, is definitely taking a check on our pulse and see what in the world are we doing with it, how can we fix it, how do we make it better. And when we're checking our pulse and kind of having a look at what's going to happen next, I guess it's how we really just work out our processes, how we're connecting together, how we're gathering feedback about how our colleagues are working through things, and making sure that they're engaging with stakeholders, beneficiaries, partners, donors, to gather problems and get their feedback and ideas about how they're going to change stuff. And for those working and managing big organizations, how are you gathering employees to gather possible solutions and ideas to grow solutions, but grow sustainable solutions, and communicate to those employees to push their creative boundaries. If there's ever a time than any, it's really pushing our creative boundaries in the current situation we're in. Still undetermined for those that are very fearful and have people that are affected by this illness that's spreading around, and those that aren't. I think, how are we still going to push creative boundaries to one, bring those people together in solidarity, but also, get inner ideas generated. I think as health professionals, allied health professionals, it's quite easy to see that we're a little bit behind the eight ball as social workers, counselors, frontline mental health professionals in the technology space. Perfect example why I wanted to stream across as many social media platforms as I could, just to reach out and say, look, how are we generating ideas for each other? What are some, what are you doing in your local area to generate ideas quickly, whether locally or internationally, and get them validated quick, get them validated easy, and get that customer feedback, whether you're working with consumers or patrons or residents. It doesn't matter how you're actually getting feedback right now if you've had to be in isolation. And a big shout out to all my people, my very good people that I've really, really been on the front line all this time. And I'm really, really thinking about you all and wish I was there, both in the US and Australia. And I just wanted to unpack this innovation pulse and gather that kind of input from you and see if there's a way to, to really just kind of show what we can actually do in this scenario, and make sure that, we can actually connect with you all, and make sure that we can, we're still challenging each other in a healthy, respectful way, but bringing connections. How are we stimulating that peer-to-peer understanding of our goals and expectations about creative performance? Make no mistake, we're in a space that we're going to have to be creative. We're going to have to share what's going on in our world, and we're also going to have to, use technology in really innovative ways. I think what we do next is really going to rely on yourselves. It's really going to rely on who you reach out to, what kind of technology you're going to use. And big shout out to you, Martin, down there in the Canberra region and out on New York radio show. I think, how are we going to innovate quickly? I think the allied health professionals are so busy being consumed by these things that are in front of them. I really hope the leaders can create some capacity for employees, to perform in a way and be creative in their performance and delivery. And, are they going to track those top-down social innovation initiatives that embed the drivers? Because if they don't have the drivers, there's so many engines that are creating creativity and space and opportunities for professionals to do frontline service. But what do we do after that? I think we've created an atmosphere, particularly in the allied health profession, that we're really reliant on the reaction. And I really want to push the community into a space that we've got ideas, we've got a network of professionals that are crossing boundaries. Having a look at the actual ethics and responsibilities of multiple allied health professionals, there's one very, very key point, and I think where we've really sacrificed ourselves in the education industry to train these health professionals across all of them is using technology to gather innovation, to push creative boundaries, to leanly test ideas. And for those who don't know what leanly test ideas, it's honing in on not just quick wins, but making it lean and agile, and making those small little mom and pop businesses and family businesses and locally owned social enterprises work really well, but then get reinforced and drive that innovation and drive the reaction from these very, very perilous times. And people are really concerned about, that capability and resources being drained by people that may become sick. And, whether you're in competition with the neighborhood organization or not, I think a real big focus for me in 2020 and the social work TV program that we're producing at the moment is how do the Australian counsellors, how do the Australian social workers, how do the coaching federation, how do the mental health peer workers, what are we going to do to lock those people in with each other and generate innovation to address these issues? What I couldn't see in the public media and what I couldn't see internationally is, yes, we're talking about things that are hurting us, but how are we talking about things that are going to support us and wrap around us and really thrive in this situation? And I'm very happy that we have some viewers, and I'm keen for questions. So please, give a question. What are some ideas that you have in the chat? You can do it on Twitter, you can do it on Twitch, you can do it on YouTube. It's what is next? What is next? And with the reactivity that we're having now, with organizations, with public institutions, how are we generating space and time to catch up with this thing that's hurting a lot of people? But how do we catch up and give them time to create projects and activities quickly? And we can only do that in connectivity with each other and connectivity across associations. And I think I haven't heard that from associations. I can't think of how many emails I've gotten in the past, I'll say 7 days. I'll keep it minor at 7 days. But the last 7 days of all the emails, it was for my spam Twitter account or my CRM or my car rego or my remind me of my dental cleaning emails telling us how serious they think COVID-19 is and how they're responding to it. What I haven't seen, what I've yet to see, and I think the community, I would argue the community is really keen to see, is actually grabbing a hold of institutions that serve people in the same space and put things together. If everyone is either getting ripped out of the community and put into their homes to isolate, and the other part of us is down, head down, bum up in the trenches and ready to fight this virus, we need creative, we need engaging organizations that are complementing each other. We can no longer focus on just keeping members in the door of our associations. We can no longer focus on really not leaving time, not leaving space. Not sharing funding to fund these crossovers. I know multiple representatives at different community agencies that have big dollars and have won big federal tenders, and that's fantastic, and big local state tenders, and that's fantastic. But these people, make no mistake, the people that cross over and connect with each other from different big organizations, at times competing interests, are both struggling with the same issues. And how many of those frontline workers that you don't see in peer-reviewed research, that you do not see as the critical advisor, the consultative group to link social innovation and to link and stand back and have a look. It's a perfect example of that is the you look at the many types of duplications of services because they got in quick enough for grants. Well, now in the space of COVID and the space of community vulnerability at an all-time high with some situations that are unprecedented, Now we need to be unprecedented in social innovation in the community sector. And the only way that's going to happen, is connecting with your peers, connecting with other associations, getting rid of the boundaries of you work for this organization and I work for this organization. I think, we've got a real opportunity to connect the dots. And that's why I wanted to connect the dots, not only across Twitch, across YouTube, across Twitter, across Instagram, across Facebook, because if we don't do that, we already see how institutions have been created to not do that, to fill the doors. And I love that people have this caring and attitude, and they're like, we just got to be there for our neighbors. And I said, without a doubt, that should be the number one, without a doubt, the focus for our community. But, we talk about these cafes and we talk about these employees that are going to work. People are coining heroes. We've got bushfire heroes. We've got supermarket heroes. We've got nurses. We've got a massive group of people that are lining up and saying, we will not go without a fight. And when you look at that and how that runs into institutional boundaries, association boundaries, and us and them boundary, we really need to re-engineer our social contracts with these associations. Whether you're paying members or not, whether you're part of consumers and advocacy networks, whether you're part of carers and NDIS networks, it shouldn't matter. And if we're not connecting with each other in a holistic way, we're really going to struggle with some things, regardless of how this virus mutates, like every other virus that's mutating around us. And I think, looking at the code of ethics across a couple of organizations, what I'm really not convinced on is we are still perpetuating something that we can battle as a collective. And part of that is institutional barriers and silos that I don't think I've met an organization or a representative of an organization that hasn't said we need to break down the silos. But every single one of them has really missed a caveat in the last, I would say, 5 years since I've been working in the industry. And that 5 years is really not continually to improve practice and not tweaking and creating scientific and professional information to connect each other with one another. You look at the lifelong learning the AASW talks about. It talks about ongoing education and training that fosters a creativity and a connectivity with mentality that we can't avoid. We've got something that's really changing our perception on what reality is going to be next, and still, I would say, a high amount of uncertainty about that. And I challenge you, those listeners in the first Social Work TV, that we're going to create a way. There's going to be a way. And I think those practitioners, whether you're a licensed counselor, whether you're a mental health professional, mental health nurse, or mental health first aider, those people that are in this environment, I think, know better than the rest that when we don't communicate with each other, we're going to really, really struggle with ourselves, and we're going to struggle with any big changes that keep coming. I think it's no secret to anyone that we are really in these unprecedented times. We are going to be in a world of hurt, I think, if we don't really create some opportunities for each other to cross over, to actually be involved and connect with each other. As I was kind of looking at this innovation pulse check, it got me thinking about, well, the one element is, yes, we need to really transform each other. But if you look at this very, very simple thing, we're not health professionals. We don't have to be health professionals to help our community. But if we look at this innovation pulse check, you have, this health check conducted by an Australian training and consultant in innovation. It's really the method of identifying a process, and really, if you're looking to do this for yourself as a private practitioner, or you're looking to do it as a community center manager, I think really being honest with yourself to generate tools to push those creative boundaries. And I think, how are they supported and intellectually stimulated? There is nothing truer than that. And it's just mirrors across all of, people's TAFE training that are getting into community service, the people, in these professional circles and sometimes silos, associations, and groups and networks of people. We've got a real chance to do something fantastic with each other. And I think, we've really, big business has been challenged in this new element by our employees free to perform their task in a way that suits them. We already know that lived experience and people working in this space, when they can actually design the workplace how they know community members need it because they hear from them, their feedback is constant about how they're actually being received in this space, you can really see that how we're engineering tasks to be completed. We need to create new ways to make sure that we have a method to connect and bring people across in a quicker and a better way, to make sure that we don't lose people, that we don't need to lose. We don't lose organizations that we don't need to lose. And a lot of that's going to rely on, one, challenging us ethically in our professional ethics for those that operate in an ethical professional framework, but also those who are willing to sacrifice their strategy to implement these changes, their strategy to collaborate with other services, their strategy is understood as a public leader. I think I'm going to challenge those big non-for-profit and for-profit and government organizations. How are they going to communicate social innovation with the health department, alongside the health department, but more importantly, the recovery aspect of this very big need that people are looking for? And I think, as we continue to grow and we continue to build our method for training each other and getting involved with each other and making sure that we've got the right tools, I think we can only do that. We can only do that if we engage and participate collaborative, open, and empowering processes to enable clients to further their desires. We have clients that are going to be trapped in their homes by either anxiety or health very soon. And I think, taking into account the relevant interest of others and undertaking advocacy with and on behalf of clients, if we're not doing that actively as social workers in this community, when we're not bringing other industries along with us to connect industries with us, we are really going to struggle in this next chapter. And I think, COVID has taught us many, many things. And the thing that I'm really, really wanting to challenge the society on is making sure that we have an opportunity to not only bridge professional networks, but also bridge accountability across multiple agencies. Because if we don't, we already see what happens when we don't bridge across the networks. And I think, it's really, really going to be hard. It's really going to be hard if we don't, a big example and some things that the Help Now group has developed with our partners in the, during this difficult time is, a quick fact sheet just to make sure people have the facts straight and what they're doing, and not only what they're doing, but how we're gonna really overcome this as organizations. I'm not sure if you need a copy of this report. Let me know. I'm happy to send it out to anyone that needs this information, because I think, knowing multiple small business owners and entrepreneurs that are just trying to get ahead and build positions for people, I think, making sure that not only we're crossing associations paths, but I think we need to make sure that we're crossing industries. So if you're in the helping industry, you, without a question, are interacting with the bookkeepers, the marketers, the street sweepers, the cafe owner. And I think, the more we can protect each other and collectively combine our efforts is only going to give us that win. And I think, for those just joining, I think it's really, really important that some elements that we've been speaking about regarding how associations, public business chambers, council chambers, land councils, we really have an opportunity with this disruption in what we find is relevant. We really have an opportunity to synergize and cross domains with each other, to live and really join with each other in this recovery effort. Because I think, there's the one element of definitely having the health department providing diagnosis and providing situations where we need to protect ourselves in our health. But we also know there's groups of people out there that are out there doing frontline work that start and stop at the door, but also know that there's other people out there that can help share the load. So how do we reach out across associations, across domains, across our expertise, be a bit vulnerable if we're not in the helping industry? Maybe we're in a printing industry association, or we're in a bricklaying association, or a CFMEU, or unions. We've got these union parts and counterparts for other types of health services. And you just really hope that, yes, they're planning to protect their membership. We've gotten all the emails, the COVID-19 emails, to tell us, look out, we're gonna have, we're doing things, we're gonna respond to the risk, and that's cool. What I beg to you, those that are out there and those who might watch this after it's been broadcast live across Twitch and Twitter and YouTube and Facebook, I think I really challenge you to, if you get those emails from your your menu log, or you get those emails from your Gmail update or your Yahoo or your, you know, um, your Tea of the Month Club. I think all of those institutions are sending messages out to us that they're mindful, and they want us to be thinking ahead in what they do with the COVID-19 stuff. But my response and what I encourage you to do is, when you're getting those messages, you need to really take note of who sent it, but I think respond in a way that challenges them to make sure that they continue to ramp up their resources to share with other organizations, to share resources with other people that may or may not be their competitor. Because if we're not collaborating now, if we're not linking up with each other in the social work world and the counseling world and in that type of stuff, I think we're really going to struggle, and I think we're going to find ourselves in a method that we're really going to be on the back foot, and being on the back foot is going to be a real painful experience. And if we're heavily reliant on a single dose of information from just the health department without the other ancillary services, then the people whose threshold we cross and those who are sick who are crossing our threshold, I think those people are going to know who are the people that are thinking long game as far as what they're going to get out of this situation, and how they're going to survive in a bigger way, to how they're going to survive in this long game with what's happening for them. And I think, the things we talked about earlier in Social Work TV today, we talked about a method of collaboration across these associations, and I think, the real thing I want everyone to kind of take home is, what is next? What is next? How are you going to challenge your association? How are you going to challenge those sending you emails about renewing your Tea of the Month Club or your gym membership? Making sure that we've actually got the method to not only, focus on what we need to do, but also focus on how we're going to make new changes with our unions, with our associations, with our really dynamic approach that we're going to have to take to fix this stuff. So thanks very much for those of you who tuned in to Social Work TV. I just couldn't leave today without really, really just capturing what needed to happen with the things that we need to get into. And I think, I'm going to leave you with, looking at the social work ethics that social work and counseling and other organizations, for those that can't see that, it's so vital, so important, and how that actually crosses over with our other partners. I mean, look at that. Skills, attitude, knowledge required to be competent teachers and facilitators of adult learning, and undertake activities to maintain their training competence. I think that's a huge thing. That's the pact for ethical responsibilities. We've also got up here, we've got the ACA must recognize the need for continuing education in their chosen profession to maintain professional level of awareness. This is that awareness of how we actually connect technology. We're innovative, we're creative in what we're creating with each other. And bring that scientific and professional information and education to their fields of activity, because no doubt, make no mistake, we will be in a brand new uncharted territory with our response to this virus, with our response to what's going to happen next. And there's really a method. Look, if you've got any questions or anything you want to bring to Social Work TV, like I said, we're on Twitch, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook Live through Rodney Help Now. Please join us. Please add as a friend. Would love to get you all involved. Have a good evening.